Good afternoon, everyone. You're now tuned into a reasonable conversation with me, Prerna, on Nusound Radio 92 FM. And I'll be with you here till 1 p.m. And I hope everyone's been having a great weekend. We thought since it's been Valentine's Day on Friday, we're going to keep the theme of love going and talk about dual heritage marriages. So this is marriages where couples are from different backgrounds. If you guys have any thoughts on this and want to text or call us, the text number is 07961 387 787 and the studio number is 0208 472 9292. You can also tweet us at nusound92fm, and that's nusound with an NU. Right, today in the studio I'm joined with two very special guests. Param Singh, who we had on the show a few weeks ago, and Param's the marketing director at Lawyer Streets and communications director at City Seeks. He's also an entrepreneur, and many of you might also know him from the show Take Me Out. We also have with us Harper, Gill, Minerva, who is the founder of Minerva Rejuvenation and Minerva Women Limited. Harper's also an ambassador at City Seeks and an ex-sociology teacher. Guys, thank you very much for coming on the show. How are you both?
Hey, very good, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Happy for you to be here. Did you guys do anything nice for Valentine's Day? Since we're talking about love, let's just go straight in there.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Actually, there's like a few of us that decided to go out just to have like a just a group of guys and girls, just have like a semi Valentine's feel, just so we don't feel like out of place.
No, I think everyone should definitely go on Valentine's Day, no matter like if they're single or not single.
Yeah, exactly. But it was missions to find restaurants. Literally everywhere we found was booked.
Really?
I think it's just the worst day to go out because the roads are clogged up. Everywhere's booked and
everything's very expensive.
Yeah, double the price. Yeah,
pump up the prices.
Just do it. Yeah.
So it's good if a guy takes you out on Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
you have to fork out more.
Yeah. I know. What about yourself, Harper? Did you go out?
Well, I didn't actually. I say I didn't. After filming for Sky, we filmed in Mayfair on Friday.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it was fantastic. After we filmed for Sky, we actually, me and my younger sister, we actually went out for a sisterly, lovely meal, and it was fantastic until we were greeted by a little mouse.
Oh my God!
That's in a restaurant.
Okay, we won't mention the restaurant's name.
Yeah, not a 5-star place, I hope.
It was.
Was it?
Oh my God, that's shocking.
There you go.
I won't name and shame the actual place, but it was really exciting. But,
nice.
We both literally jumped out of our seats, saw this little mouse, and we just refused to pay for the bill, which we got away with. But
so good Valentine's Day and all.
Yeah,
I actually spent some time with my little sister as well. I think it's nice to, I did go out with friends and then saw my sister and had a great time. So it's good. Good Valentine's Day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we're talking about dual heritage marriages. What are your guys' views? What do we think about this topic? Do you think they're a good thing? Do you think they're a bad thing?
Well, it's definitely an interesting topic. I was at a dating event last night, and there was a couple of Indian girls that said, "Oh, what are you doing here? What are you doing here, mate? Because I thought you said you like blondes."
You want to take me out, like?
So, but it's interesting because I think I was at like a Sikh and Hindu Punjabi dating event.
Oh, okay.
And there's so many people that were just saying that, and unless you're from my caste background.
Oh God.
Yeah, I was shocked at the level of numbers of people. People say that I don't mind what caste I marry into, but my parents do. And you just think, well,
in this day and age, it's terrible. People still think like that.
Yeah, so the dual heritage, is happening more and more, and maybe it's because I don't know. I just think sometimes the Indian community just lets itself down with some of the cultural things that seem to be at play.
I think so too. I mean, sometimes if you do get someone who is Indian and they go on about caste and this and that, and you're still not, you still don't tick all the boxes within the Indian box, you think, what's the point? I might as well just marry someone who's not Indian, open-minded, who doesn't care about all this stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think, Harper?
Well, I'm a very open-minded person, and I think, when you marry someone, you marry them because you love them.
Yeah.
And I don't think you have any restrictions. So I don't think you think about, like, their religion, you don't think about their caste, you don't think about, where they're from, what they do. But their character, their actual character, is what kind of draws you to that person. So you naturally just follow your emotion. So I think for me, I mean, I've got lots of friends who are in dual heritage marriages, and they're extremely happy, and they married because they loved that person, and I think that kind of takes over. But unfortunately, you know, we do have some young people today who get conditioned to think that they have to marry someone in their own caste, and, you know, to strengthen the core beliefs of their religion, they have to marry within their religion. And I understand that, and I think it's, you know, I think it's up to the individual, but I think we're people pleasers as well. I think we, you know, as young generation, we are actual people pleasers, and we really want to please our parents.
No, it's true. If you know someone doesn't care about caste or religion, but their parents do, it feels like they kind of have to marry someone just to please their parents and their family, and what's everyone going to say if they marry outside caste or religion, you know? Then love kind of goes out the window, because you're just looking for a tick box exercise.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is terrible. I know, you know, I think, you know, all of our parents are, you know, from the same, you know, subcontinent, or maybe, you know, they're from like Kenyan and African communities, but, you know, even in my younger years, even I had to, you know, educate my parents on the idea that, you know, if I did marry out and get them comfortable over time, that, you know, now they're very comfortable, but, you know, going back, say, 10 years, maybe they were not as comfortable with, you know, me, you know, marrying, you know, outside of, say, my, you know, community, or the Indian community.
That's really good you did that, because most children are kind of too afraid of their parents to, you know, even say, oh, actually, Mum and Dad, I might actually fall in love with someone who's not an Indian.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I think that's the key as well, is educating them as well. You know, as you get older and as they get older as well, you're actually, it's your duty, I think, as well, as you know, as a young person, getting them aware of what, you know, what we're exposed to, and, you know, how we integrate with, you know, other races and other religions, and really educating them. And I think that's our responsibility as well, to some extent, and that really teaches them, you know, don't just think that your parents are, you know, kind of ignorant, or they don't understand. If they don't understand sometimes, you know, and it is our duty, you know, just as we were kids.
Absolutely. And it's you know, if we've taken on the, you know, some of us have taken on the duty and the responsibility to have, you know, my parents are in a much better place now, because my brother is about to go into, you know, about to marry someone who's from a different culture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so and that's been interesting for him. Like, you know, they're in a much better place to be accepting and welcoming. And actually,
so he's led the way for you. He's made it easier.
Yeah, well,
I'm
he's
the
made
eldest.
it easier.
Everything I do, that's the first time.
Yeah, but it's interesting, because you know, as the oldest son, you know, I and me and my sister, we both laid the foundation of that openness. And, you know, now they're in a much better place. My younger brother's in a better place to be, you know, moving forward with, you know, that marriage. And
well, we've actually got a text from someone called Kalpana. Thanks for your text, Kalpana. She said she's married to a non-practicing Christian Englishman, and he's wonderful, and we have no problem in our marriage.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's nice, Kalpana. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Definitely, that's beautiful when that happens, definitely. And the child gets the best of both. They're enriched with two different cultures, as well as accepting everyone else's culture as well. You know, I think it's embrace all the cultures.
I know, and you know, you mentioned earlier about, you know, you have to strengthen religion by marrying someone from your religion. If you're strong in your beliefs, you don't need to marry someone from your religion, because you know where you are, you know who you are, where you come from, you know your beliefs.
You have clarity.
Exactly, like when you don't need someone else to reinforce that.
No, definitely. But some people do. You know, I was talking about this particular topic with some of my friends, and they just didn't feel comfortable about marrying someone out of their own culture or out of their own religion. And maybe that's because they feel like they will strengthen those core beliefs, and, you know, their children will then practice those beliefs as well. So I think some people are not comfortable about marrying out of their culture, and fair dues to them.
I mean, it's not always for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had like many a debate with you know, siblings and friends around, you know, how do you want to raise your children? Because maybe that's like one of the key things, you know, like maybe people don't, you know, people can be accepting of each other like a couple, but, you know, do you choose to raise your children with the husband's religion or the wife's religion, or do you teach them both religions and let them decide? And it's you know, it's or do you take the best of both worlds?
Make a new religion.
Why not? Make a new religion,
Or just teach them how to be a good human being.
They can decide when they grow up which one they prefer or which one they're more comfortable or aligned to.
No, exactly. So I think there's lots of ways, and I think people have to I think with our I think it's also worth, keeping in mind that our sort of parents, because they've been raised in a specific tradition, most of them have like singular traditions, and maybe they feel that they got so much out of whatever religion or culture they're from, that they feel that they want to have those, they want to see their grandchildren, have those same sets of beliefs and customs. But we're living in such a different world now.
Totally.
And, from a philosophical perspective, Hinduism, Sikhism, and Islam, they all teach about the oneness of, humanity and society. And I guess we're kind of moving towards that, but moving towards that has its own challenges. And, for example, I think I've got a few like uncles and aunties, and they're married within dual heritage backgrounds. And with that generation, it was always a case of only one culture will get the prominence, and the other one has to sort of give in to the other one.
Yeah, or sometimes you have to convert or change your beliefs
that kind of stuff.
Get married and raise children.
That's right. Yeah, and I think that first generation, our sort of old generation to us who joined dual heritage families, it's almost like you had to give something up.
I mean, that's really interesting.
And that's daunting for them.
Because we've got a text from someone called Meena. She said, I've been married to a Sikh man for 10 years and I'm a Hindu myself, and his family have never accepted me, and I always feel like an outsider. So it does happen that sometimes you always have to change who you are, or you're never going to be good enough for that family because you're not one of them.
But to be fair, like, even I've got Sikh friends who have married Sikhs as well, and they've never been accepted by their mother-in-law. So sometimes it's just mother-in-laws.
Right. That's a good point, actually.
It might not be religion. It might not be that they're the same. It's just, finding a balance, in pleasing everyone. It can't be done, even if you do marry the same, and you marry someone the same caste and the same, from the same side of the bind or the village. Like I said, it's hard to please everyone.
It is,
definitely.
but then when you hear these like stories, you think, you know what? I'm not even going to marry an Indian. I'll just marry someone else.
Well,
and I
that's
won't
the
have
problem
this,
what we're having, aren't we?
We won't have the problem with a mother-in-law that you don't cook this way, you don't speak this way, you don't go to the Gurdwara every weekend. You kind of bypass all of that.
Yeah. And I always say there's a little button just on your forehead, and you press delete. So if anyone says anything negative to you, you just press that button.
Tu mera bhi delete daba de. Beep. Cheers.
We've got another text in from Jenny saying, it's very difficult when children are born in mixed faith. What do you choose? And that's what we were just talking about. What do you choose? I mean, if you're both, as we were saying, you're both comfortable in your own religions and you're strong in your beliefs, then what do you do with the children?
Can you take the best of both? I mean,
I think you can.
I think you can, personally. I think if your partner is Christian and you're a Sikh, I think your child can go to the Gurdwara and they can go to the Christian
But what
church.
about if there's something, for example, like when Hindus are born, they have a mundan, so they shave their head, whereas with Sikhs, you don't ever cut your hair. So just little things like that, I guess, because I know friends that have had this experience and they're always arguing about, okay, what should we do with the kids? When there's certain ceremonies that you have to undertake.
I think these discussions need to be done before you actually take that commitment,
that's true,
with anything. I think people, sometimes they get married and they don't actually think about what they get themselves in for. And it is a lifetime commitment. It's not just for, 5 years and that's it, you're expired.
Right.
I think you've really got to think deeply and think, how are we going to get about this?
I think so. So you do have to compromise in a way anyway, because there are going to be some practices which, the children have to pick and choose. Okay, we'll do this ceremony, we won't do that one. We'll do this, we'll do that.
Yeah, and again, I've got friends who are married into the same religion, and they still bicker about certain things. Is the child going to eat meat, or is the child not going to eat meat?
That's something that.
So again,
that is interesting. It kind of transcends because I guess every family have got their own sort of unique nuances, right? So when you have, I think with Asians, you're marrying. It's not just individuals marrying. You literally have a family marrying a family, right? So you have this merger of families, and regardless of your religion or culture, you're going to have these things that you have to give up. Something, or not give up, but I think compromise. And I think that's with any relationship, isn't it?
No, it's true.
We're so individual. We live in such an individualistic society. Main karna, main karna. But when you're living with another person, then you got to say, well, I've got to. it's
You've got to
about
be very
being
mindful.
Yeah, you got to be.
Yeah.
That's the word. Yeah, mindful and a bit more selfless, like to be
Yeah.
giving to the other person and
You
considering.
surrender.
Yes. White flag.
I know, we just got a text in from Rishi. He said, I think if a person is born in mixed heritage, I think the parents should be able to give the child an independent choice of what faith to follow. So teach them both ways and be like, you know what, if you want to follow this faith, go for it. If not,
Yeah.
they follow daddy's faith.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give the choice. I mean, we were brought up as Sikhs. Well, I was brought up as a Sikh, but it's up to me to actually practice it.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
it's, you know, you decide yourself. You have
Yeah.
that choice of whether or not you want to practice it.
Yeah.
And when you're younger, you might be forced to do certain things that you didn't
That's right.
particularly want to do.
Yeah.
But then, as you get older, you
Yeah.
become, you know, you become more interested in,
Yeah.
you know, the religion that you're brought up in
That's
as well.
right,
Well,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely was.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And I
yeah.
think, you know, and then again, the same with the child as well that you
Yeah.
have, you know, that it's up to the child whether or not they want to take on the religion further, or, you know, whether they just want to be a good human being.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just, you know, good principles.
That's
and again,
right.
they're all universal, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Got an anonymous text in saying, educate mother-in-laws, bring them into the real age. So I think someone's sharing their mother-in-law.
Yeah.
You all have mothers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, but it's true, like, when you're
Yeah.
saying that, you know, if you're both on the same faith, sometimes the mother-in-laws can bring you
Yeah.
down.
I think so, but I think sometimes we're too sensitive to things. I think you know,
Maybe.
I think because it's not our mum saying it. If it was our mum, it's different. But I think when someone else's mum says something to you, people take it, you know, in
Yeah,
a different.
right.
Yeah, I mean, my older sister, she's married, and she's married into the same religion, and it wasn't marriage. You know, they met at work.
Oh,
It
that's
was
nice.
absolutely
Nice.
beautiful, and they knew each other for about a good 6-7 years before they actually tied the knot. And her mother-in-law is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, that's
very,
nice.
very nice, very, very happy,
Yeah.
and that's because, you know, they have that. They you know, my sister actually treats her like her mother. You know,
Yeah.
exactly the same how
yeah.
she treats her.
That's
And I think
awesome.
that's a mindset you've got to get
Yeah,
into as
I think
well.
so, yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, sometimes you do, but I think we've always, as a culture, we've always kind of had those silly little films that kind of embedded in us. That, you know,
yeah.
the mother-in-law, she's like,
I know,
Yeah.
Bollywood does play a big role.
Yeah, that's true. Well, to continue the stereotypes. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
We've had another text in from Amita who said, these days, just choosing wedding ceremonies is enough to break up a relationship.
Gosh.
Oh my God. Yeah, that
I
is.
know. I wanted a Hindi ceremony, but my fiance's family wanted a Sikh wedding and would not consider my religious views. We are no longer together. I mean, we did mention this a couple of weeks ago, that there are sometimes religious institutions which don't want to marry you if you're both from different
yeah.
religions.
Yeah.
It's so my brother had quite a mission to find a temple that would do a Sikh wedding with a non-Sikh individual, and there's
that's such a
very few.
shame.
It's such a shame. And what they've decided to do is that they've decided to have a Sikh wedding and a Hindu wedding.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that's
wow.
a good.
You
Why
know,
not have both?
it's so cool. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant thing that you can share, you know, both cultures and say religious traditions.
Yeah.
And you know, all the families together. You know, we've known each other. We're all mates. We've got all similar mates and stuff. And I think it's just it can be a very enriching experience. You know,
I
you can
think so.
you can use it to be enriching, or you can use it to be like, I want to do this and I don't want to do that, and be it and have the complete opposite effect.
Exactly. I
And
think
I
when
think-
two people are married, you should embrace each other's kind of cultures and
Yeah,
religions. I mean,
yeah.
I'd always think if I married outside my religion, I'd have both ceremonies because that's just a natural thing to do.
brilliant,
You
isn't
do
it? I
actually
do
wouldn't.
both. Wouldn't
Sorry,
you?
no, sorry.
There you go.
Oh, right.
Tell us why.
Right. Go on, Miss Minerva.
I actually wouldn't. I just think that if I was marrying a Sikh, I would have obviously the Sikh
Yeah.
Gurdwara wedding.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously you have to have a registry. But if I was to marry a non-Sikh, I would just have a registry.
Really?
I just,
Oh,
yeah,
right,
I would
yeah.
I would obviously probably go to the Gurdwara afterwards.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't force that upon anyone who, you know, didn't
Oh,
want
I
to
see what you
participate.
mean.
I mean,
Or if they didn't want to, that's a
yeah,
different
or
Yeah.
even if they did, I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Why am I going to force someone to do something that they don't want to do, or
Yeah.
they don't kind of practice? It's not
Yeah.
embedded in them,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be true to themselves.
They might
so-
find it interesting, like doing something a bit
but
different.
it's not there to be interesting. It's
I
there
know.
to
Yeah.
we got to know the meanings behind.
Yeah,
it.
no, of course, of
Oh, you know. So I think
That
that's
is interesting. Yeah.
So
that is interesting,
I
yeah.
personally wouldn't. I just, you know, get married on the beach or something.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'd love that.
Me too. But actually, I
Your
do
question,
know.
Param, sorry, about your brother getting married.
Yeah.
So they're having two separate weddings, and
Yeah.
you also mentioned that a lot of was it the Gurdwaras that wouldn't allow?
Yeah, most Gurdwaras don't allow it ananymore.
Why is
Recently,
that? Have you? Did you find out why?
Yeah, I think it's been happening for, hundreds of years. There's been never really been an issue, especially between Hindus and Sikhs. People have been married in Gurdwaras for, Guru Nanak's wife wasn't, Guru Nanak was married into a Qatari family. So, I think what happens is when you have an increasing amount of, say, dual marriage relationships, the institutions, the uncles, they suddenly what everyone's trying to do in this age is they're trying to just retain their culture and their identities. And so I think it's just and it's having the opposite effect, because the thing is, if you bar jab bachyan ne vyah karna hai in a gurdwara, I think it's a great thing, regardless of whether they're Sikh or not. At least they want to connect with their institutions. I think if the institutions suddenly start barring half, if half our community start having dual marriages and half of our population is barred, then people will just start disengaging with the temple. And I think it's having the opposite effect. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to just hold on to anything they can.
It's a way of control as well, saying, well, if we stop these weddings, they're not going to happen, and all Sikhs are just going to marry other Sikhs, because then they can have a
That's right.
wedding.
That's it. It's
like
it's going to have the complete opposite effect. So.
And it's really sad, because Sikhism, there's so much of Sikhism which has got Hinduism inside it.
Yeah.
It came from Hinduism. So why the kind of hostility towards it now?
It's
but then I've
really
also been to a dual heritage wedding where the male was the Sikh and the female was an English lady, and I just felt like when they were doing the Anandgarj, it wasn't really respected. And that's from only a personal point of view. Watching them, she didn't have a clue what she was doing. She didn't know why she had to be there. And I think it was kind of forced upon. So it's slightly different when it's forced upon.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's when I thought, well, why are they doing this? Why are they having this wedding when it's, it's kind of like... It wasn't really respected, and afterwards she took all of her beautiful lenga off, and she was there indulging in alcohol straight afterwards, and it was like, and I just think, sometimes we've got to be, again, it's going back to that mindfulness, and you've married someone and she's not into that, so why force it upon her?
I agree. I would recommend a registry wedding in that instance.
But after all religious ceremonies, everyone does go to the reception and just get completely drunk.
That is true.
Or
they are the worst probably when it comes to that.
Exactly. So where do you kind of...
Param, don't put us off, please.
We've got a text from Cam. Cam said, I'm a Sikh, married to a wonderful Muslim for 15 years, and we are bringing our children up as neither faith. Both families get on very well. Children decide when they're older what faith suits them.
That's
Cam, that's really nice.
beautiful.
Thank you for sharing your story with us.
That's really awesome.
That's a really nice text. Came in. I think and when it works well, doesn't
Definitely.
it?
I think so.
On the other hand, I have spoken to one of my friends who got married to a non-Sikh, and unfortunately her parents actually disowned her.
That's such a shame.
It was really upsetting, and they totally disowned her, and she was actually blackmailed by her parents to either choose the parents.
That happens so much, doesn't it?
Emotional blackmail, and I think the father was ill, and you can't see the father anymore, and it was really sad. And her children now, her children are like 8 and 9, and both of them don't have a relationship with the grandparents.
That's really sad.
It's really upsetting that you miss out all of those years, and and they're in such a happy relationship and such a happy marriage that it's that changing, educating the parents as well, and we're here in England, we mix with English people and lots of other cultures as well. Let's embrace it all, let's enjoy it, and let's be good human beings, which most of our religions actually teaches us.
Exactly.
And
to be open to other things. If your children are happy, then does it matter who they're married to? What's the point of disowning them? And they're always going to have...
But it's
always going to be sad for them when they think about their parents for the rest of their lives.
Exactly, and it is like, it's like, what's such and such going to say? What's the, it's the stigma.
What's the community going to say?
And I think especially ladies, they get involved with that, especially if they go to the Gurdwara or the Sikh or Hindu temples, or if they're in that kind of environment where they talk a lot. Such and such's daughter got married to a lawyer, and he's this and he's that, and then if their daughter got married to someone who's not. From the same culture or the same religion, then it's that stigma, isn't it? It's that kind of like that resent and that kind of feeling that my my actual child has actually let me down.
And it's like you've dishonoured our family and shamed
Yeah.
us. I
Yeah.
mean, why do people care what other people think?
Yeah.
I mean, who are they really to you? I mean,
But it's coming out.
It's coming out. It's a really, really difficult thing, because like I think when you're marrying when you're marrying families and families, I think it's also the first generation. From their perspective, they're because we're all individualistic, so we have this idea that we don't really mind दूजा बंदा की सोचता है, but from the first generation perspective, their whole worldview is based on what other people think about them.
yeah.
So it's that it becomes a very difficult, unless all of us individually are helping to, shape our the ideas of our parents and say, it's not so important, what's important is the love that we have between each other and that kind of thing. It comes...
But even in our generation, Param, I think people are quite wary of what other people think as
definitely.
well.
Like you were saying, the whole conditioning aspect of it.
Probably right. Actually, you are right about
I think,
that.
sometimes, there's
You are right,
certain things that I do, and I think I would do it in this particular area because they're all English or they're all, however, I would never wear this if I went down to Southall or something because I'm worried
Don't
about
think
the
you wear,
reaction.
many modern clothes in Southall. Or in Ilford.
Get the chunni out. Get the chunni out, mate.
I know, it's like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
actually,
No, that is
I've got a really funny story. Actually, my younger sister went out on a date a couple of years ago with this, Punjabi guy, and he actually said to her, the first thing he said to her is, "Oh, I can see you," and he goes, because obviously they'd never met before, and they met for the first time, and he goes, "Oh, I can see you. You're half naked," and she had
That's so rude.
She had the off the cut shoulder dress, and he goes, "You're half naked. I can see you," and he was like, and
That's
she was just like, "That's it."
I think people like
check,
that.
please.
You know how you were saying that sometimes people have to marry within their own sort of communities. I think people like that, they should definitely just, I don't know, go back to India,
go back
find
to the
someone.
men.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you can't adapt to the way of life here, don't be here.
Yeah, well, it's like the music videos, some of the great.
Bollywood.
I was thinking Bangla videos.
They're getting a bit racy these days. As well.
They are, aren't they?
Slightly going off topic.
I have to adjust my pacemaker when I watch it. Put it on high.
We've
high
actually
setting.
Well, you get this glamorous, gorgeous girl, in a silhouette figure, and she's absolutely fantastic, but she's got to go to the kitchen and make roti. Come on.
Well, she's got that on her face as well.
We've actually got a caller on the line all the way from India.
Oh, wow.
Oh, fantastic.
Go on.
Satish, hello, can you hear us? Oh, hi, Satish, how are you?
Hello. I'm very well indeed. I just this is from New Delhi, so I apologise if the line's not so good at the moment. We're on a Wi-Fi connection.
Oh,
But
it's
great
okay.
show.
Thank you
Great
very
show.
much.
We can hear that you're having a great time over there.
Oh, we sure are.
Yeah, no doubt.
We are.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I've come across quite a few of these intercultural marriages, and the one thing that I noticed was that between dharmic and dharmic traditions, it's a lot easier for the kids to get on, whereas every time I've come across an Abrahamic to dharmic tradition, it's been a really big gulf, and when times get difficult in a relationship, sometimes it becomes a very, very difficult time to navigate.
I'm not too sure. I mean, I think it depends on the individuals, because sometimes people from different kind of Abrahamic faiths could be more open-minded or more willing to accept different things. I've got so many friends who are Christian and they practice yoga and they love India, they love Indian food. So I think it does depend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, they're not Christians anymore, are they?
But you can still be a Christian and practice yoga and go to India.
Oh, that's a whole new conversation. I've recently spoken with two young ladies, both of whom went through Hindu marriages. And like I was saying earlier, neither of them really knew the detail of what the ceremonies were, and they were dressed up, and they went through everything, and all credit to them. They must have put in such a huge amount of effort getting ready. But later, after a few years, I spoke with both of them, and both of them said they wouldn't go through it again. It was quite a surprise, but both of them said, no, it was really traumatic for us and for the family. And
traumatic.
We wouldn't recommend. We wouldn't do this ourselves again. It's quite surprising.
But I think maybe it depends, because sometimes there are lots of demands on the bride, and you're having it's your day really.
Yeah.
You're getting married.
Yeah.
and you've got to do so many different things and please everyone, and
Yeah.
sometimes you have to wear what your mother-in-law gives you and all this jewellery. Like sometimes you might
And I
not.
think it's the one day that a lady really feels special, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's more to do with the Western, in Western society we're more individualistic, whereas in Asian society,
People
in Indian
pleasers.
society, we have to people please, and I think that's more the potential, the issue there than it is necessarily the sort of religious elements of the.
But I imagine it's nerve-wracking enough, isn't it, to go through all of the tiny little bits of getting ready, and you have to put your hands
I think
here,
it's
then you have to
beautiful.
sit there. Tough one.
I think it's absolutely beautiful to
It
look
is.
like a Christmas tree on such a special day. I think it's fantastic.
So one day you can go overboard and no one will say anything.
Put a little angel on the top as well.
Definitely, please do.
Call the
Give me my
chimney.
bag of sweets so I can hand them out to the kids.
Nish, thank you very much for calling us. Hope you're having a great time in India.
Yeah, we are. We were. Vivek's here as well. We're just about to go off and have some golgappe and some rasmalai, stuff like that.
Excellent. Have fun.
I wish I was there.
Thank you very much for calling.
No problem at all. Have a great time. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Okay,
Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
It's true. I think sometimes maybe the religious ceremonies in itself can be
Yeah, that
daunting.
Actually,
Yeah.
and both my older sister is at a wedding today, and so is my younger sister, and both of them have said that it's just so traumatic just to get ready, and he's actually very right. You know, what do you wear, and who have you got to impress, and all this, and how do you keep everyone happy?
We've
and
got a text come in saying, do you really pay attention at religious wedding ceremonies to know what is going on? As a British Indian, I'd rather much have just a registry wedding where you can at least be more involved in vows in English. That's true. I mean, how much of us do actually know?
Maybe it's up to us to actually find out.
yeah.
Maybe we should take the initiative and actually find out what the law is all about. Like if we're getting married in a gurdwara, what the undergarden and the principles and the whole meaning behind it, and that's what will make it very, 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 very magical for you.
That's right.
If you inject that passion.
That's right.
But if you're not going to be passionate about it, then that's true. Just get married. And
A registry wedding.
where it's all translated and
That's
you
right,
understand and you
yeah.
can write a little poem to each other and
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, sometimes, like the Gyanis and the Pundits as well, they do translate in English saying this is what we're doing now for anyone who can't
that's
speak
fantastic.
Punjabi or Hindi, which I think is quite good because it
Brilliant.
engages you.
It is brilliant. Yeah.
Definitely.
I went to one Hindu wedding like about 3 years ago, and the Pundit was like a religious man meets stand-up comedian.
That is so
It
funny.
was the best wedding ever. Like,
Really?
it was so funny. It was funny. He was doing the Sanskrit translation, and then he was doing a meaning, and then he was just putting in like some random jokes in. I don't know if that's sort of atypical of. I don't think it's maybe
I don't
necessarily
think it's very
atypical,
typical.
but it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, and it keeps you kind of like motivated.
and you remembered it.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. It's just
Sometimes ceremonies can be a bit long. I mean, they're longer than a registry wedding. So it's nice to have something funny and engaging. So you're kind of involved in the process. I've been to weddings where the religious ceremonies are going on and everyone's chatting or they're eating.
So disrespectful.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, what's
right.
the point of being there if you're not going to engage in it?
That's right. Yeah. Now, I can remember him saying one thing. This pundit, the gentleman, saying one thing which was quite funny but slightly controversial. He said, "Our weddings take a longer time, but then our marriages last longer too." There's loads of English people in the audience. Awkward.
I think it's the opposite way round now. Isn't
Probably.
it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was like, have you checked the statistics, Uncle? Because
It's really upsetting. But I have
it
heard
is
that, yes.
upsetting. Generally is.
I didn't want to touch upon that because I thought, dual heritage marriages. I thought, well, actually, no, we can touch upon this because, how many, we should look at the statistics now.
No,
of,
definitely.
dual heritage marriages and whether or not they are they sustaining? Are they really lengthy now, or are they what people say? They shouldn't have done it. Because there are lots of conflicts, there are lots of disagreements. But, I think it would be great to have a look at the statistics.
I think
It
so
would be
too.
very interesting. Yeah.
I mean, we've got a text in from Billa. He said he came from Punjab and married a Punjabi girl from the UK, but me and her are different in different ways of life. So even if you are the same religion, sometimes it doesn't work out. And it's really true. I mean, you can meet people, you're both born here, you're both Indians, but then the mentality is so different.
Yeah, definitely.
Or you can meet someone from India and they're kind of more open-minded, I find, than sometimes Indians here. And they're more, they're more willing to try different things, more open-minded. And it thinks maybe actually you'd be better off marrying someone from India than sometimes someone from England. Or,
Yeah.
But then there are lots of people who are pressured into marrying people from India or, from the subcontinent. And then they find out a couple of years later,
Well,
it's
it's
two
just
different
not-
people. It's not going
Yeah.
to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was introduced to, like, when I was in India, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was introduced to an Indian lady, and literally we were given about 10 minutes just to talk, and I was like, this is it's the most pressure. Like, literally, you come out of the room and you're expected to give a yes or a no. Yeah, and I was like, I think it's just nice to get to know someone over a little bit of time, at least a week, but they won't allow that. So,
heart or no?
Yeah, literally,
like, make your decision now.
I just cried. I just went into the car and cried.
Saying that, Param, you know, the biggest business decisions are made in the space of like half an hour.
Actually. Oh, yeah,
so you know what? I don't dismiss that, because I'm sure if I was to meet someone for 10 minutes in a room, maybe I should try this. 10 minutes in a room, you never know. It might, you might just say, you know what? The synergy is so strong, and you just think, you know what, that is the one.
Yeah.
And
sometimes
some people get that.
Yeah,
some people get
You're
right, though.
They really do get that. I mean, some people need time, but if you're really clear about what you want, and let's just say we don't know what we want sometimes, you know, we think that what we want is what we want, but it's not, you know, so realistically we don't, but it could just be 10 minutes and that's it, and then you just instantly know.
Yeah.
I was going to actually mention that, you know, with a business deal you have contracts beforehand, but I guess in those situations you have the bio data, you already know that person's lowdown. Exactly. So you just meet them and then you can say yes. I don't know. People do say love at first sight happens, and you just
the click. Clickety-click.
It's true that you actually never know.
Or the eyes. The eyes speak a lot.
Oh yeah, they do say the eye is the doorway to the soul, so
that's
you can see,
deep penetrating eyes.
I know.
Yeah, that is,
I met someone once who didn't
melt.
Some people are just charmers, so you've got to be careful.
Oh yeah, that's true. They do this quite a lot, so they know what they're doing.
Give them a topper in it, and then they've still got some lines coming out after that.
I know, but I mean, yeah, it's true. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I think you shouldn't be so conditioned that, you know, I have to meet someone either who's Indian from this country or from that country who ticks all these boxes.
Yeah, I've had a situation like that, you know, well, Harper, you know, you're at such and such age, I'm at such and such age, you're this religion, I'm this religion, and you're this caste, and guess what, even the bind, we're from the same bin.
Oh my God.
Thought, nah,
dude, that's a tick, surely that's tick.
Didn't you think, oh wow, actually, this could happen?
Check please. I'll pay for it as well.
Why do people say that? Just wow. That is interesting. But it's true though, I think we've got a caller on air. Oh no, we don't. We've got a text message that's just about to be coming through. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. You just never know. Like sometimes you could be both from the same, you know, religion, same everything, but it just doesn't. It just doesn't feel right.
So, Param, just because we spoke about this before, you were obviously on that show, Take Me Out.
Yeah.
And you knew, well, you must have known there wasn't going to be any Punjabi Sikh.
Yeah, I had an idea. Maybe I had
so you're quite open to this dual heritage marriage, and you're quite open person to meet who, you know, who you connect with.
Yeah, I think what we should really look for, and I wasn't always like that either, but I think, you know, just over time I've just come to think that actually you can get really nice, good people from, you know, from any tradition, like from any community.
It's true.
Yeah.
And, you know, you want to meet someone who you vibe with, you know, and you know, have like same kinds of goals and aspirations, and, you know, you see maybe life in a similar way, or maybe sometimes, you know, like, you know, difference attracts people, you know.
Oh, I think so, because it makes it a bit more interesting.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, you get something from a different culture, from your own culture. It's more attractive than what you've had all your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Live life extraordinary. That sounds good.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I like that.
We've just got a text in from Sukhi from Barking. He said he married 3 times for the sake of my parents from India, and I married 3 times for the sake of my parents from India, and all of them didn't get the visa, and now I had to divorce them, and now I'm totally against marriage. So I mean, that's,
Sukhi, don't let that
I'm so
put you
sorry
off.
to hear that.
Don't let that put you off. Definitely not. I think
it is difficult trying to please parents.
Don't please them. I mean, I don't say don't please them. Obviously, you've pleased them because you've done it 3 times. But you know, that's maybe try and educate them. Tell them about your emotional needs as well. You know, as a young lady who's been brought up in England, I think it's really important to think about your emotional needs as well. And you as a person, that it's not a game. It's not just, you know, you can just quickly, you know, sign something and that's it. You know, it's building that, like we said, that relationship with that person as well. And I think you really need to sit down and maybe speak to your parents about this as well, because it's 3 occasions. It's not just just one.
I
It's
know.
2, 3.
And I know this sounds really selfish, but at the end of the day, it's your life as well. Your happiness should come first. I mean, we do want to keep our parents happy and please them, but then we have to do what's right for ourselves.
I always say, when you please yourself, everyone around you, it feels that happiness as well, because it will just it will literally project, you know, your smile, your you know, your happiness and your partner's happiness. Your family will see that beautiful, you know, flourished relationship, and they'll think, you know what, at least my children are happy, at least they've got a smile on their face, and they're not living two lives like a lot of people are these days.
I think that's the worst. I mean, emotionally it must be so difficult to keep up the pretense of living two lives.
Exactly. You know, and so many people are doing it. They get married to please the parents, and then they've got their side piece. You know, and that again, I just think, oh, please be real.
Like, everyone's losing in that situation. Not really gaining anything. We've just had a text in from Anisha, Shivani and Vandini from Medway, Kent. The whole point of marriage is to bring two families and respect respect the person's religion. Hinduism states that any person can follow another religion and shouldn't be forced to convert regardless of who they marry. If as 20-year-olds we can understand this, adults have no excuse. Thanks guys for that message. It's really interesting.
Really good. It's very interesting.
Really
you shouldn't have to convert. I mean, you should be able to respect each other's religions.
Definitely.
I think as a sort of a Western-born sort of, you know, Western-born Indians, I think our perspective on life, and it's so interesting, like what we see as just normal and, you know, just like sort of common sense type of thing is not really, it's maybe just our culture. We are culturally different. We're not completely Indian because we have a British culture,
different outlook on
we have a different outlook on things, and maybe it's our generation as well. Generally, a younger generation of people throughout the world have a much more global perspective on life, and, you know, through media, and we follow the same people on TV and that kind of thing. So
that's true.
There's a lot of things at play.
People that I know, like, you know, 20-year-olds, they've, like, you know, gone out with people from all sorts of different religions, and they're really happy. But then there are people who've done that. Then they go to their late 20s, early 30s, are like, okay, right, I need to find someone from my own religion now. Enough of this, you know, going around with different people. But then why should you
have you been false all those years? You know, if you know, you know, when it comes to that time, and then you just say, oh, okay, I'm going to give up my Jewish boyfriend or whatever, you know, and then I'm going to actually marry someone because I'm going to please my family, and I'm going to, you know, do what's best for the community. Well, then have you been living a life for the past 5 years, or you know? And I have met personally, I've met people like that as well. You know, that
there's loads of them out there.
There's so
why do you
many.
do it? I mean, because if you did it before, it shows there's something that you liked about that person.
Exactly.
So it's not about religion or, you know, pleasing your parents. It's about doing what you think's best and being happy
do
with
what's
that.
best for the soul. Definitely.
Definitely agree with that.
And if you like that person and they, you know, follow a certain religion, you should be able to respect their religion as well.
My chacha married a Singaporean lady, and I
like Singaporeans.
Oh, Singaporeans are awesome.
Amazing.
It's a very multicultural place, like maybe even more so than the UK. There's people from, you know, all kinds of religions and cultures there, and you know but because it was an older you know, it's my chacha. The kids had the possibility of learning, say, Mandarin and Punjabi, but then they only got to learn Punjabi because, you know, back then people couldn't necessarily understand that you can actually have both worlds, and you know, wouldn't it be so cool to if you're trilingual, quadrilingual?
Yeah, definitely.
It is
the more
just
languages
such a great,
we know, the better.
it is such a great thing. So I think there's so many advantages.
And even when you marry someone from a different culture, why not embrace, like we've just talked about, all the cultures, every country that you visit? You know, if you visited, like, for example, if you visited over 15 countries, embrace all of them.
I think
learn the language, adapt to that particular culture, and, you know, really be passionate about everything in life.
And just because you do that doesn't necessarily mean you're giving up your own culture and your own identity. And there's always this perception as well that, say, if you, I know, like, say if you marry someone who's not part of your religion, you're not true to your religion anymore, and you're not a real, you know, XYZ. There's always
that's
this
a put
perception,
down, isn't it?
It is. I don't think.
Because
I had this discussion with someone a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that, you know, he'd never look at someone and think they were different just because they married someone who wasn't from their religion. I mean, but then there are so many people out there who think, oh, you know, they've married this person, and it kind of shows that they're not really that religious, or they're not really Christian or Muslim or whatever. That
perception is very wrong, guys. I personally think that's very wrong. I think
a lot of British society is probably half Indian now anyway, considering the main dish of the UK is like the curry.
Say that again.
The mainstream British society is half Indian anyway now,
yeah,
because they're all eating tadka and biryani and stuff like that.
So many people,
exactly.
So many people love yoga. They love India.
Yeah, exactly.
So many people watch Bollywood films. I mean, all of the Middle East watch Bollywood films. It doesn't
really in
yeah,
Middle
they
East?
do.
Really? They love it.
Oh,
Moroccans love it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Dubai they absolutely love.
Oh, right, because you were sort of doing business out there. You're traveling there.
I love
there a lot.
Dubai, and I think I visited Dubai so many times more than India.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
It's a
actually
great place.
And
I
you know
love
what?
Dubai
Everyone
too.
says marhaba all the time to me.
What does that mean?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
yeah.
does it? Oh, right. I thought it was a place. Oh, right. Okay. I wouldn't mind though if it's a beach and make a sandcastle,
you know what,
maybe.
It's our own community that always say to me, "Are you actually Arabic? Or are you Lebanese?"
Right.
And I'm
right.
like, "No."
You do like your Lebanese food, though, don't
I
you?
do.
Yeah.
Well, it is nice.
I like
Yeah, it's
it.
pretty gorgeous.
I like all sorts of food.
Yeah,
though.
that's
I
right.
like
Yeah,
every
yeah.
culture. I embrace
This
it all.
culture, yeah.
We've got a text in from Rima. She said, there is a guy at uni. We are great friends and practically perfect together, but he's Punjabi and I am Gujarati. How do you think that would work out with different religions and different cultures? Well, I think Punjabi and Gujarati aren't very far apart. I mean, we were just talking about Singaporean.
It's whether you want to
Indian.
work at it. It's whether you want it to work out.
Yeah.
You know, don't hesitate. Go with what you feel is right.
Yeah.
If you think it feels good and it's you and he makes you flourish and he empowers you, inspires you, and likewise you do exactly the same. You empower him and you're 80% of the time you're happy. 20% sometimes we have like disagreements, but that's just
It's
normal.
human, isn't it? That's just human. Yeah.
But if it's 80% arguments, then it's not right. Okay. But if it's only 20% and 80% it's really nice, and you wake up and you think positive and you're always happy, then do what's best for you. Don't think about too far ahead just yet. It could just be a stepping stone, or it could be the one. You don't actually know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think just go with your heart right
It's
now.
true, because if you both really want to work at it, you'll find a way to get through, religion and
Of course.
culture, and
Yeah.
find things that are similar, and sort of always looking for things
Believe,
that differentiate ourselves. We should look at how are we the same?
Yeah. So my brother's fiance is Gujarati, and our families have just used to just meet anyway. Before they were even like going out, they were just like mates.
Oh, that's
And so our families would get to know, already got to know each other, and like their families, very similar. Our value. We looked at our values, and we're like, gosh, man, our families are so similar. Maybe different cultures and stuff.
It's true.
And, and it depends on like family to family, and what people want.
And
how people
sometimes
see each other.
you can't please all the family.
No,
as
you
well.
can't.
As
No,
long
no.
as you're both happy.
That's right. Yeah.
Because sometimes nowadays as well, I think families like to take a step back. I know my parents aren't very interfering. They let us girls.
Oh, right. That's really good. Yeah.
My parents are fantastic. Like, they're very, very liberal, very open-minded. I've got a fantastic relationship with both parents.
Yeah.
But they allow you to make your decisions, because we get to a certain age now. Like,
we're old enough to know what we want.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
exactly. We're professionals, so therefore
We've got a text message from Anonymous. Me and my girlfriend, who is black, I'm Sikh, we've been together for 4 years and we're in love. However, I know that the family won't agree and World War III will break out. I totally agree that parents need to adapt to modern times, and if they wanted us to marry other Asians and stick with the Asian culture, they should have lived in India.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting message. It's
That
true.
is interesting.
I mean, if they've been together for 4 years,
4 years is...
it's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. It's
It is, but sometimes it isn't. Again, it's open for discussion, isn't it? What is a long time and what isn't a long time? I've known couples who've been together for 17 years, and then again, it doesn't work out. So it's again, it's a difficult one. But it's whether or not you want to please your family or you want to please yourself. And if you're happy, then again, like what we've talked about before, go with what you want. But saying that your parents should go back home and maybe that they should adapt. Well, maybe this is your chance to educate them. What Param was saying before. Maybe it's your chance to really kind of speak to your parents about dual heritage marriages and how it's kind of common, and give some good feedback on it. Set the serenade in their minds.
Exactly.
Yeah,
sometimes
I think so.
sometimes there's always examples that people are married from the same religion and it doesn't work out and they get a divorce, and there's other people that they're different religions, they're still together, or they've got a divorce. I mean, you can never predict just because you're both from the same religion or culture that you're gonna work.
But I wouldn't scare parents, and try not to be argumentative either.
No, I think
it's difficult because it's an emotional topic. If it's to do with your future, it's hard to...
Yeah, it is. I think if you can be compassionate and, try and, samjha give some understanding and you know, show that actually, you know, you're. I think what you said, Harper, about, you know, when you're happy and you project like so much good emotions about, you know, how the other, you know, how your other half is. Yeah, spread the love. Yeah, spread the love. Definitely. Yeah, I think so. I think so.
You should love everyone that you meet.
Yeah,
you know, and
I think so, yeah.
you should really, like I said, embrace everything that you
Exactly.
meet,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
this is a gift. You know, life is actually a gift. It
yeah.
is. I say that all the time.
Sometimes people aren't always lucky in finding who they love. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you do find someone you both love each other, that's
It's-
quite
Oh,
special
man.
in itself.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a text in from another anonymous saying, at the end of the day, the buck lies with the couple, not the parents or anyone else. It's true. I mean,
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
but your family's your family
I
as
know,
well, and you
but
love
they
your
should be
family.
happy for you.
It would
so,
be. I know.
yeah,
Yeah. It's such a thing, isn't it? Because
But like, if you think about it from a parent's perspective, we're not parents, so we can't really.
That's
say.
true.
Yeah.
We're like
When you see it
having
from a
go
parent's
there.
perspective, they've educated you, they've given you everything, they've given you
Yeah.
that step in life as well.
Yeah.
You've got to be, again, you balance it out as well, because parents make big sacrifices.
Yeah,
And
of
when our
course.
parents
That's true,
first
man.
came to England, they made huge sacrifices.
Yeah.
They worked day and night. They were up against some certain forms of discrimination, and
Yeah.
you know, so that, like I said, you just got to educate them.
Yeah, yeah.
And best of all, do what's best for the soul as well.
Yeah.
But also think about parents. I think
I think
that's
so. I think
important.
that's a very good balanced view.
And it's a great ending note, because unfortunately we've come to the end of the show. It's been
Oh, shame.
gone so quickly.
Oh, no.
I know.
Cry.
Have to have you guys back on again. I mean, it's been great having you
cheers.
both on.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
having us.
No, it's been
Definitely.
excellent. I didn't really know where time went. It just went so quickly.
Yeah.
That's really quick.
Thank you for all our texters, all our callers, all our listeners. Do join us next week, where we'll be joined with Joe Sidhu QC, and we'll be talking on extremism. It's another interesting topic. So do let us know your thoughts and views in advance.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.